What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 464. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
And I'm sorry, but movies really aren't my thing.
Tell me why. Tell me why, detective.
But I'm John.
Hey, John. Good to see you both. It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah.
Maybe 24 hours. I don't know.
Maybe roughly 24 hours.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happens when you watch a 96-minute film that could also have been a 4-hour film. I'm not really sure what happens in that.
Right. Right.
There was a time dilation or something that happened last night.
Yeah,
That's what it was. That's what
Here's
it
a
was.
very inside reference. I know Cinnabon was involved.
Closed gates. Yeah. It was a wild night.
All of it.
Yeah, so good to see you both. We'll be talking about let's say about last night. We'll do that. Last night. A little later on this podcast, we were able to go see the advanced screening of Him. So we'll talk about that later as a forward view. But before we get there, let's go into John's pick for required viewing. John, remind us what you picked, why, and kick it off.
I picked Satoshi Kon's 2007 animated extravaganza. I'll put my image in. Paprika, the dream detective, surreal, bizarre, psychological horror adventure story. Yeah. I mean, I knew that Satoshi Kon's work was supposed to be good, and I have enjoyed I like Miyazaki's work and Akira, different animated films from Japan that I had seen over the years that were like beautifully animated in that way. That I want to get into a little bit why this art style works such magic on me, and maybe find out how you guys feel about it. But yeah, I just knew that it was supposed to be a lushly animated movie. And in fact, for Satoshi Kon, I believe this was his last film and his most fully developed film. I saw one other film of his in kind of preparation for this, just as comparison, a movie called Tokyo Godfathers that is also beautifully animated, but not quite, it doesn't feel as big budget as this one. But it's different and similar in some ways. I'm really curious to check out his other work now. I mean, this is definitely a case where a guy only did a few things. So you can really kind of just absorb it all. And I think they're all around 90 minutes long. So at any rate, I just had always wanted to kind of check it out. It was dancing around. I would see those lists of greatest animated movies, and this would be in there. And I would just say, this one sounded really interesting. And that idea of Inception, not really being, I don't think you would have to believe that Christopher Nolan saw this and consciously lifted from it. I could believe he saw it and liked it and thought that seems kind of fun to play with, but I could also believe this is a parallel idea that's just ingeniously laid out. This movie is much more surreal and truly dreamlike in that really I guess Inception does a similar thing, but Inception also has the rules of the situation, and it's a little bit less of a fantasy kind of story, and also doesn't give in to the genre thing. Like I said, Paprika is roughly like a horror film in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's a film about people who have devised this device that lets you get into people's dreams, and they're using it at work for research purposes, and it seems illegally outside of that to help people or to psychoanalyze people, which is kind of the Inception idea of planting memories or finding the core of someone's memory. And then there's a really creepy storyline that develops where a former employee or a person who's just recently stayed home the last couple of days seems to be invading people's dreams. And then we find out that he's actually a front for someone else. I mean, it gets deeper and deeper, but it's this psychological story that, the idea of what's real and what's a dream, I think at the end we kind of know. But I also think this movie plays constantly with that kind of perception. And I was increasingly attracted to that idea of checking this one out. It just sounded like a really watchable story that, even if it was truly bizarre, which is the one kind of criticism I'd heard of this movie, is that that's at times kind of incomprehensible on a plot level and character level. But I would say that after watching it, most of that stuff feels like it was a feature, not a bug for me. I'm not saying I wasn't confused, but every time I would be like, what the hell's going on? The characters in the movie would comment on it. Like when our main character, what's her name? Atsuko?
Yeah. I think there was.
Dr. Sheba, I think, is also her name. But we know early on that her alter identity is Paprika, this dream detective. But
Yeah.
then later they appear on screen together, and there's no real explanation given, except that's when you know, oh, the dream world and the real world are merging, and so
Yeah.
they can exist together. So it's like every time you would see something like that would make you go, wait a minute, do I understand this as much as I thought I did? The answer kind of comes in the narrative or from a character's mouth, and in general, it was just really propulsive. Like from the beginning, I found that it was like, like it just had a really good rhythm to it that definitely kept me engaged on a story movement level. And I'll also say I think that there was a naturalistic quality to it in between the crazy dream imagery. Like you also got it, like there's dazzling images in this movie, and a lot of them are dream stuff, but some of them are just like a car driving down a street at night and going into a tunnel, and it's just beautifully animated in the lighting and the angles. There's just a lot of attention given to making all the shots interesting on a purely cinematic level that I just found this movie like a visual feast. And from a story level, I actually think that there were some moments in the end that really, sometimes you get to the end of a movie and you realize you were more hooked into the emotions of the story than you thought because it punches you with something. I thought the ending of this movie really did that. It really brought it around to like, these kind of cool character relationships that kind of snuck up on me that I had cared about. I will say there was a shocking amount of fat phobia in this movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I spent the first 10 minutes thinking, oh, there's a big person who is not being treated as like a butt of any jokes. They're just there. But then very quickly, it was like every line referring to this character was talking about their size. So I thought that was like maybe the only thing about the movie that kind of bumped me. I wondered if it would have aged well. I didn't know what kind of it was 2007. That's a long time ago in terms of some certain types of content. But I thought other than that, it seemed to me like a movie that in a lot of ways you could make today or release today, and it would still feel kind of current, even down to the tech. It had this kind of bizarre fantasy element to it that never made it feel like it was related to any one piece of tech that I can think about. The only thing that I would say dated the film was in the one fantasy where there's girls with cell phone heads dancing down the street, and then guys with cell phone heads like taking pictures up their skirts. They were flip phones. That's the only thing that was dated about the movie. But anyway, I've got a few more things to get into about it. But yeah, one of you guys kind of jump in. Ronald, had you seen any of Satoshi Kon's work before this? And if so, what were your thoughts going into Paprika?
Paranoid Agent. I saw when it first aired. So for those unfamiliar, before Crunchyroll became really big and they had all those deals, you got a Japanese anything, and then you get fan subs. A person who spoke English pretty well, I mean, a Japanese and English pretty well, would create a text file with the timing of each person's dialogue and interpret episode by episode an anime, and it was weekly. So it was like, oh, we're waiting for this group's subtitles, or it was crazy. It was a different time. It was a way different time. And then Crunchyroll made all these deals with all the bigger anime studios.
Well, that's cool.
Paranoid Agent was one of the ones that I saw.
And that was a series?
Yeah, it's a series. I never watched the part two, but the part one was pretty crazy and used a lot of like dream state and people getting bopped over the head with bats, and it was just like really crazy. And so I was familiar with the absurdity of it, and I just found out like this week that was the same guy that did it. That was like when I was just someone would tell me about an anime, I would just jump into it and watch it. Animation is one of my favorite things in the world, and it's kind of why I was saying like, man, look, why don't they make an MCU movie or a DCU movie, and animation and then Across the Spider-Verse comes out, and then everything can be done in this world, and it doesn't take you out of the story because anything can happen, and it all is the same level of quality, which is really cool. Paprika is one of those ones. It's kind of a mind fuck. It's like a crazy mixture of all my fears, which is like getting stuck in things like dreams and stuff like that. and exploring things through your dreams and figuring out, what makes you tick. And um, the way the detective would react to Paprika really was interesting to me because it's like it reminds me of like something was really pleasant about her that was taking him away from the weirdness of his life. And I think we all have some stuff like that. And it was cool to see this like this man trying to solve a murder in his dream. And I kept thinking about the guy kind of stuck. He's
Mm-hmm.
like shot in the back. I was like, man, this is, and I will never jump over a guardrail. I will never jump over a guardrail. I mean, I won't because I'm in my 40s, but I also won't jump over a
Oh, okay.
guardrail.
Okay.
There's many reasons that's a
You know
bad
why I
decision.
won't? I heard a story about some people that some people I knew were talking about somebody that I think I was supposed to have known, but I don't remember exactly. But it was a couple of people that they were out on a road trip, and I think they were like in the car following them. I mean, I hope I'm not getting the story wrong, but basically, a guy got out. Someone needed help, and it was like the divider in the road, and it was like the highway, and then the little divider area, like little median area, and then the other side of the highway. And someone on the other side needed some kind of help, and this guy was running over to help somebody. I don't know if take jumper cables, whatever. And he jumped over the guardrail, and it was like a drop, and boom. I mean, it was gone. And so after hearing that
Holy
story
moly.
about like he thought he was just going to jump down a few feet and then run across,
Yeah.
but instead it was I mean, again, maybe it shifted down from a hill, but
Yeah.
10 feet back or like a few yards back and then over. But either way, it was a sad story, of course. But every time since then that I've thought about like bounding over something, I'm like, nope, I'm going to at least look and see.
Yeah. Yes.
And in this case too, you want to make sure you're not going to go through into another part of the dream world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never heard so many syllables in Paprika. I was like, it was like, I also love Japanese culture just because of the.
Well, there's a lot of vocal
love those.
mannerisms that I felt
love that.
Tokyo Godfathers was much more stronger in that, and this was
Okay.
a more naturalistically acted movie. And I think there was a conscious effort to make it more like a marketable, big budget movie that had these recognizable archetypes in it. But you still get those great like. I mean, again, it's like we just don't have them. We have our own versions of that, I guess, here in the West. But yeah, you're right. That kind of like, but I don't know what that is like. But it's definitely part of the language. I'm definitely a subs.
yeah, for
I know
sure.
there's supposed to be some good dubs out there, but I'm a subs guy for that reason because
Me
I think
too.
I
Me
like
too.
hearing the original voice actors where possible. Steve, you haven't really said anything yet about Paprika.
No, honestly, like it's funny the timing. I remember being a part of like when I was in my ad agency days. This when I worked for the film studios. I remember working with this film, or only on the fringe of it, like with some of the promotion and publicity for it in the market that we live in, and admittedly, then and now, really not being very familiar with the movie at all. Like I feel like my involvement with it, it was just like awareness, and I knew what it was, and I knew the kind of love for the filmmaker. But admittedly, even to this day, I'm not as in tune to his filmography. I think I've seen maybe one other movie. It might have actually been the Tokyo. What did you say it was, John?
Tokyo Godfathers. It's like
Yeah,
three people that like find a baby.
yes, I've seen that. That's
Okay.
the only other. That's the only other thing I've seen. But I just knew the movie by name, and I just like it. Kind of at that point, it left my brain, and I honestly don't know that I thought of it until you brought it up for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I thought it was a really interesting movie. Like I definitely liked the film, but I got to admit, like for whatever, I mean, I don't know. All I kept thinking about was Inception, the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
and not that there's enough to not separate the films, but I just felt like there were so many things around. Like some of the visuals, and even like I was reading more about then I got into this like after watching it, reading interviews and watching stuff where Christopher Nolan's even talked about.
Oh,
the
actually, I
comparison.
didn't know if he'd said anything about it.
Yeah,
before.
like that he'd been working on the script for Inception like 10 years prior to its release, which would have predated this film. But I'm just like, there's no denying, like it is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Like some of the visuals and even just some of the themes and the way that the movie the plot is kind of laid out, it's just really like a dream detective, like just even just that line.
Yeah.
It's like you can't not compare it to
A group
Inception.
of a group just like Inception. It's like
Yeah, no, I mean there's so many that there's literal scenes like the elevators and like the long hallway running up the wall, not the like
No, the running up the
there's
wall was definitely a thing that made me
it's
think,
insane. Like one of the videos I was watching, like it had it like side by side, and it's just like,
yikes.
okay, I believe that you worked on this movie 10 years before it came out, but there's no way that in its completion and seeing it to the release, like and he acknowledged like seeing this film, I think, but that his existed before. I don't know. But this movie, like I thought it was really good. It was very entertaining. Like the characters were really interesting. I do feel like at a certain points for me, it did kind of become a little more not hard to follow, but just kind of a little more scattered in terms of what was going on or what you were looking at, and
right,
and that could
what you were
be
supposed to be giving a shit about.
right. And I think, but again, like I'm not as familiar with a lot of his films, so I mean, from what I understand, there's a lot of like similar theming and some of the ideas and even excuse me, even what's the word? Like the logic behind the movie seems very
Mhm.
like this is it. There's not going to be explanation. There's no exposition dumps. There's not like it's like you get it. You don't. This is the story. And even like when you first meet the three at the medical facility, it's like they're just talking like they talk at a job. Like there's nothing being explained
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you as
Right.
a viewer. You are just like listening to what they have to say and figuring it out, or trying to figure it out. And I feel like there was only a couple times in the movie where I felt like it got a little confusing or it didn't make sense. But I mean, super entertaining, and definitely I love the pacing of it. I felt like I was like in from the beginning to the end of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it makes me want to watch more. I mean, and again, like I always like dive into this after the fact, before not before I watch it, but after like other people's reviews of this film and like the filmography and the impact I guess it's had on like even how the animation itself holds up to stuff being put out today. Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
just constantly commenting on that kind of stuff in terms of the animation itself, and it's a valid point. And I mean, watching it, you're like, wow, this looks incredible. Like
Yeah.
it looks really good.
That's why I threw up
Um,
a different image just so you could like the line
yeah, I
quality of
mean,
the drawings is just
it's
insane.
insane.
The
It's
the level of
insane.
detail is
Yeah.
what I was going to mention about the style that is just so awe-inspiring to me, and it
It's
reminds me
wild.
of like when I was a kid and I would read like Tintin and
Yeah.
things like that, where it was this insanely detailed art style, and you would flip through and there's just pages and pages and pages of it, and it was such an immersive world. And this kind of animation, particularly Japanese animation of this type, where it's like really cinematic animation, there's such detail and such attention paid to all that stuff that I was mentioning earlier, the angles and the lighting, but also what you're saying, which is like just the quality of the drawings and the animation. And it's
Right.
like I just find it so immersive, and it reminds me of like, oh yeah, this is the kind of art that made me at a young age interested in looking at sequential art and looking at like animation.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, dude.
there's a one side of it is
Absolutely.
like Warner Brothers and Disney and that kind of like silly short comedy things, and then the other side is this sense of like a huge narrative.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's something about this world that just feels so fully developed, and it's I don't know, whenever I see whether it's stop motion animation or hand drawn animation, there's something about it, what you're talking about, Steve, the kind of can't be beat aspect of it. I think it's because we moved away from hand drawn animation a lot, or largely, that
Yeah.
the state of the art, that's why like Roger Rabbit still looks so great. It's because it's like, well, technically cell hand drawn animation didn't really get better than this before people started moving over to computer animation or
Yeah.
more computer assisted stuff. So it's like there's a state of the art of animation that is
Totally.
it's very hard to approach it without like an insane amount of technical skill and just the time it takes to do all these drawings and stuff. And whatever it is, I mean, I know this is, like I said, one of Satoshi Kon's more expensive films to make.
No.
So I do think that's the secret to it.
Yeah.
That it's like it's a lush movie.
Yeah. Watching this reminded me of the way that I felt the first time I saw Akira. And
Hmm.
Akira's from '88. Like, you're right, there's like an arrested development that American animation has. And then you see like if I remember seeing this. I remember the one of the first scenes where they go into the bar in Akira, and it's like the first time I saw like a medium shot,
Hmm.
and I'm seeing all these expressions, and it's like like somebody's embarrassed, and it's I'm like I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you
Yeah.
could do that, and like hand drawn animation make it look so. Yeah, it was crazy.
Like to be that tightly detailed and to never lose it, to like
Yeah.
never lose.
Yep.
Because I mean, a lot of what makes like Disney animation so lovely, it's very stylized character design. And there's a lot of detail. I mean, let's not, I'm not taking away from that level of
No, no,
technical
no,
skill.
no,
There's
no,
some
no.
amazing looking animation that will always look amazing in those films, but there is a kind of demand of this kind of drawing where it's like it's just that very thin line. You're not really getting anything from like the line quality. It's all the status of the images and the fact that it's so, I don't know, the fact that it holds on to like the designs. And I noticed the character designs too. The characters looked, you could tell who you were looking at in silhouette, and I think that that's
Yeah.
like a cool rule of like stylized animation, that even though this is kind of naturalistic in it, and for most characters, there are outlier characters, like the fat shamed Dr. Tokita. But I mean, if they never said anything about it, he would just be a big bear of a man that just is
Yeah.
a funny character design compared to the little short guy with the bald head,
Sure.
And then there's I don't know, there's like the three of them walking down the hall. There was a shot of them like in profile, and I was like, oh, that's really good character design, because this is a real world and these are all just people, but the difference in size and shape was varied enough to just feel to me like, again, just like a really, it reminds me of God, what's the guy who did the movie about the French animator who did the movie about the bicyclist? The Sisters of Belleville or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But I mean, like that animation is the character designs in that are really extreme. But that's
The
also
triplets. The
the
triplets.
triplets of, is it of Belleville?
The triplets of Belleville. Yeah.
Okay.
I know the one you're talking about.
But anyway, that animation style is really lush and beautiful and detail packed as well.
Yeah.
And that has really
Oh,
extreme character designs in it.
let me look at this. Oh wow. Is there some stereotypes in this? Like I feel like this is like is there some
Depending on what you might be looking at, I mean, I'm sure there are some character designs that could feel that way. But if you're talking about the
this
main
is
guy,
yeah.
he just kind of has a big schnoz. I don't think he's meant to be
Okay.
any particular.
This looks really cool. Wow.
It is really interesting. It's a weird world to be in, but it's really beautifully animated, and it's
Okay.
and I think they've done other things that are interesting too. Anyway, I just, yeah, animation still has that quality of movie magic for me
Yeah.
when it's this good. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I did think the creepy parade music was really effective. I thought that like that one song that keeps coming back when the parade comes through.
Oh yeah.
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 And it did manage, like, I liked the way it depicted the isolation of a dream, of being in a dream world, and just like how lonely it kind of feels in a dream, how suddenly there's nobody there, and then suddenly there's a lot of things going on, but suddenly you're off by yourself, and how like there's a weird sense of menace throughout, like even in the more fantasy kind of sections, there was always this element of menace to it, and that little doll that kept growing. I mean, that was a creepy. Like when its face appeared outside they were in the glass walkway between the buildings, and the face just appeared.
Yeah.
And it was like looking in at them. I mean, that was like a Godzilla type moment. But yeah, full of good images. I had to really decide which one I was going to take a screenshot of. It was honestly, guys, the hardest I've ever worked. Not just for this show, but in my life.
Trying to find this note I saw in reading one of the interviews. Is the film that the detective goes to see?
Yes. No, the film at the end that he goes to see, I don't know about that one, but all the films that are on the wall that he walks up to, those are all Satoshi Kon's other films, like the
Right.
posters.
So the last film he goes to see is called Dreaming Kids,
Dreaming Kids, yeah.
which was apparently at one point a working title for the unfinished fifth film that he was making or gonna
Oh,
make.
Oh
Called and that
man.
that last was called Dreaming Machine, but it never got finished.
I will say though, I loved. I mean,
Wild.
to talk about a moment that makes me like, when an ending makes a movie just jump up, like in your
Yeah.
estimation, the ending of this movie when he says "one adult, please," and then it goes to black
Yes.
at that second, that was. I
That
mean,
was
that was
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I'm glad I thought of that, because another thing I wanted to mention was this movie. One of the things that made it so entertaining is how smart the characters seem to be about like culture and pop culture and the situation that they're in. They're talking
Yep.
about things in these terms that we
Yep.
kind of do in life. And even when they're talking about like movie technology and terminology, those feel like conversations that they're just layered in a way that sometimes dialogue isn't that good, Or
Yeah.
isn't that, like, I know you're saying, Steve, they keep a lot of the things kind of unexplained at times, but I think that idea that it was trying to be somewhat naturalistic. I mean, there's definitely some exposition in there, but you don't feel like you have one character who exists to dump exposition on you, and that was cool.
Yeah. No, but definitely a good pick.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I plan to watch Perfect Blue, which is the other major movie, but then there's another one. It's called Millennium Actress or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, yeah, only 3 or 4 films, and then Paranoia Agent, which was how many episodes in that series, Ronald?
I think it's like maybe like 13, I think, or something like 13 or 15.
Yeah, see, that's manageable. I might end
Yeah.
up watching
It's not
watching a whole lot,
unreasonable. It's not like one of those 30 episodes. Nah.
or one of those 30 season. One of those. There's some
Oh
Japanese
no.
shows that are insane when it comes to
Yeah.
that. And you're just like, oh, and someone says it gets really good in season 11, and you're like, oh Jesus. How many episodes a season? 25. Oh my god.
Mm,
So the next pick is you, Ronald.
Ronaldo.
uh, this one's hard because I was thinking about doing a very special episode or something.
Mm.
I think I'm gonna do it. Fuck it, just because it's relevant to now. It's not a movie, but it's a special. Um, The Case of Adnan Syed,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
episode 5.
Oh, yeah.
The one that hasn't aired, the one that's airing the day that we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that a weird one? Is that a weird one to pick?
I don't know. If we want to know if it's weird, Ronald, we have to ask the czars of Hollywood.
I picked this one because I feel like it's been a through line in this podcast.
Well, what do you guys think, Mel? Sly?
Sounds good. That's what Mel Gibson says.
good.
All right, see, I think that's a
Um,
I think that's a doer. Is that what people say?
yeah, it's a doer. And I picked it because I want us all to talk about it. I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about the way they present this information. And it's a documentary, so
No, it's been a while since we've done a doc, and I think we've done a few TV things
yeah.
on here. Like we did the season of what was the Darth Marenghi's Dark Places? Was that the
Yeah.
name of that?
Yeah.
And then you did the first thing you picked was season 1 of the Respondent or Responder.
I like that show so much.
I liked it, but it's funny now to think that you made us watch 6 hours of something for one of these.
Yeah, that was rough. I apologize.
It wasn't even that it was rough. I could easily do that with a show that I'm binging. I'm just saying I'm glad that we have not done that routinely.
Like, here's some homework. It's
Right.
like, So that's supposed to air tonight on HBO. I mean, it's a couple of days ago for you guys, but it should be on HBO Max right now. I was gonna pick an extreme horror film, and I was like, nope, let's do a documentary.
I think this is a good pick. I mean, for a couple reasons, mainly because, this is a local story
Yeah.
that we've talked, like you said, we talked about a ton on this podcast.
Yeah.
And, it hasn't, it's been like 5 years or it's been a while since they had a new episode of the show, right? Like, because it
Yeah,
was, let me see, when did they come out? They came out, yeah, they all came out in 2019,
yeah,
in March. So it's been 6 years plus.
yeah,
And the amount of news and changes and where this case is currently and where he physically is currently and things like that has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's, I mean, this is like a go back to it as often as I can story for me. So every time any news item comes out for this, I'm sharing it with you guys and I'm just like
yeah,
reading everything I can because yeah, cereal is like a cultural thing. Like that is like a landmark thing for
yeah,
podcasting, for what we're doing right now,
yeah.
for true crime. Like it is literally like a core memory in my brain when I was
Same.
like first listening to Serial.
And here's the
So,
thing. Here's the thing for our listeners. If you think that it hit everywhere else, it hit us like a meteorite. Because it
yep,
was like everything was local.
yep.
There were people that remembered things. Steve, you said you remember like the headline, right? Or you didn't remember
Well,
that?
no, I was friends with her.
Right. Yeah. So
Like in high school, like before she transferred to that school, she went to my high school, and like I have a picture with her. I have her. She signed my yearbook. Like I knew who she was when it happened. When it
Jesus.
happened, then I knew who she was.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then over the years, it's kind of, it's like it happened. And at that time, especially where we were with like technology and social media and like didn't, not existing, uh, it was like you didn't hear all the stuff that comes out in, 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of crazy. Just like a lot of people, even on the podcast and on this docuseries, finding out stuff decades later that no one ever knew back in the time of when it actually happened because what wasn't being shared or what wasn't transparent. It
Right.
was mind blowing. It still is mind blowing, which is why this is such an intriguing topic. And uh, yeah, I definitely would love to know for sure who did this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see what this new episode has to say, or if it actually has some quality, like real information, or if it might just be like another thing that for them to put out. I hope it's not
Yeah.
that, but
I remembered you had some closeness to it. I just couldn't
yeah.
remember what it was. I'm
Yeah, I think
really
she went
sorry
to
to
my
hear
high
that.
school for
It was
freshman
crazy.
year only. And
Gotcha.
then she transferred, and yeah, yep,
Jeez.
it's crazy. It's
That is
absolutely
crazy.
crazy. Like a friend of mine from high school is in the series, Asia McClain.
Mm-hmm.
Like no Asia.
Remember she was like the mystery in
Yeah,
the
and like she's
podcast.
kind of, and I don't know. I have no relationship with her anymore. I think we may still be Facebook friends, but even before this all came out. But um, it's just crazy when you have any kind of, and it's such a outside the lines connection. Like I have no real connection, but it's just definitely in an orbit where you're like,
Yeah.
this is a orbit that I exist in, and this is happening at places I went. Even going to the Best Buy out on Security Boulevard. Like I would,
Yeah.
used to go there all the time when this shit was happening, not even knowing it had any relevance. I don't know. It's not to go down that rabbit hole. We'll talk about that next week when we watch this episode. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it. I'm glad you picked it because now I
I'm
have every reason to
wow.
watch it.
I don't think I could have picked anything better than this.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch this. I was talking to Erin about this driving home from the movie last night.
Yeah.
That
It,
like what's coming out soon. I told her that this new episode was coming out today. So
the only reason I knew about it was Plex showed it like it just popped up. It just populated. I'm like, what's going on? And then it's like coming soon. I'm like, what? What's coming soon?
right.
Then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But back to one thing you mentioned though, Ronald, the extreme horror movie. You want to table that for next round, since next round I think will be our October round. And
Yes.
that's a nice.
Okay, hopefully I don't forget it. Let me try to.
So I was
Well,
thinking
I'll
maybe
probably screw some of the.
we all choose a horror film next round.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope the timing works because I'm going to be on vacation in a little bit.
Okay. Well, we'll figure
But
it
we
out.
we could record around some of it. But I just want to, yeah. At least
Well,
by the time Halloween
yeah.
comes, we'll have all gone through it probably.
Right. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, I mean, like
Um,
if not, we at least will have a round. You know, we've done that
Yeah,
before, where our
yeah,
Halloween
for sure.
episode came out in like on
Sure.
November 3rd or something before. So
For sure.
we keep the Scoopy. We keep the spooky going.
And the
Scoopy.
Scooby. And the
We
Scooby.
keep the
I said
Scoopy and the
Scoopy
Spooky.
like ice cream. It's like
I
ooh,
say
it's,
pick any of it and we keep it
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Scooby, Scoops.
yep. Scoobs,
Spooky.
scoops, and spooks.
Okay, this is so random, and I have to just say it because it's in my head. So the reason why Drake and Kanye West don't get along, one of the reasons is that Kanye West had a beat that he was gonna give to Drake. It was like really soulful and really cool, and Drake was ready to rap over it, and he was gonna do a verse on it. Kanye West. The verse that he sent back was essentially Kanye West saying poopity scoop for like a minute. Poopity scoop, poopity scoop, poopity scoop. And I guess it gets established that he didn't respect him as an artist. But it still is one of the weirdest songs to ever come out in the past 20 years. Yeah, it's just look up Kanye West poopity scoop. It has this beautiful beat. It's all soulful and chopped up, and then Kanye West poopity scoop, poopity doopity doop, poopity scoopity scoop. Like what? Sorry, I just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's a ridiculous human being, man.
But I mean, like Drake. I mean, you know, the guy can't catch a break.
He can't, man. He can't. And I think it started with that. It started with that weird ass thing that Kanye West did years ago with Poopity Scoop.
It's like, can you imagine Drake went and texted Millie Bobby Brown after that?
Certified lover boy. Certified pedophile. Wop, 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 wop. Dot fuck him up.
11.
Man.
They're being so mean to me again.
You know
11.
what's funny?
11. Will you protect me? That's probably what it was all about for him.
To the point where, like, if I say Drake, somebody's gonna say, "I heard you like him young." It's like very weird that.
I mean, it's. I told you it was.
Cultural impression it made.
It was very strange to have that many people when the Super Bowl thing happened. To have that many people singing along to a lyric about you being a pedophile. That had to be like, you know, some experiences. You like look in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, am I 2 inches shorter than I was yesterday?
Yeah. Have I
That's
shrank?
yeah. That's you know.
God, yeah.
You wouldn't wish it on a guy, but
No.
you know, but some
Not
people,
on my worst enemy.
some people deserve it. I guess I don't know. Who am I to say?
Yeah. Say Drake. Anyway, speaking of Drake,
Kind
we
of.
saw-
No,
he-
not really. But I
not
mean,
really, but he is him.
Yeah, that's what
Drake
I mean.
at
Yeah.
one time was him, and we had the pleasure of going to see him. A term that's used to kind of say, you know, I'm important. I am the center of attention. People have also used a spinoff of him as Himothy.
Yes.
Yeah, Himothy. I'm Himothy. But yeah, him, the Justin Tippin horror film that released today.
Yeah, it's out today.
If you're listening today, yeah. So some like background. This was a Monkey Paw production film, not a Jordan Peele film. Which
Not
lot
a
of people-
Jordan Peele film, nor is Brightburn a James Gunn film, nor did Tim Burton direct Nightmare Before Christmas. I just had to say all of that because
Yeah,
these seem to be
Is that
popular.
the holy trinity of not?
It seemed to. Well, I think there's this weird thing of when directors' names become brands, and how when their production shingle is like, and people want. I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna make the point to say, oh, all their movies are like this, or he hasn't had a good movie since da da da. Like, he hasn't had a good movie since Nope. And you're like, guess what?
Yeah, not his.
He hasn't had a movie since Nope. So I don't know. But I mean, I think that like it is that thing though of this was being hyped as kind of under Jordan Peele's shingle. And then I think as we've gotten closer to release and the reviews have gotten kind of toxic on this, I mean, there's some pretty bad reviews for this. Yeah. They've now turned it towards Justin Tipping's him, which again, I don't blame anybody in that equation. I'm just saying it is strange to me, and this is really a side topic to the movie, but it is strange to me that Jordan Peele hasn't, I thought that his journey to like having a production house and I thought that seemed like a much more there's no obstacles here. He's had this huge success. He's a guy who knows how to make movies. He's smart about picking scripts and stuff, but he's like lately it seems like he's hit a kind of, I mean, I'm not saying, he's cooked. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying lately has been like a trouble patch for that, that machine that was chugging along. And I don't know if on his side, he would say, no, this is the normal gestation period and I'm just kind of living my life. Or would he say, yeah, I'm having a hard time getting something going right now. And then here's him, which a lot of people are going to think is by him. And it's not him. And it's not it either.
It's definitely not it.
No, go. I'm sorry.
I was going to quote you and throw to you, but at the end of this movie, Ronald, and you were very frankly, don't usually turn to me and say something like this at the end of a movie. You turned to me and you said, the script was abysmal. And then you said, but it's not any of the actors' fault that this movie turned out the way, or that you said that this movie is what it is. And I might have even felt a little bit better about the script than you did up to a point. There were points in this movie, and I could name the point where I feel like it started to slip away from me as far as the story, where things were going. But there were moments in this where I felt like I was watching a much better movie. And I think a lot of it has to do with Marlon Wayans' performance and just how I thought he was great in this. And I really wish that the movie, what the potential of his character was, I really wish the movie lived up to some of the dynamics that could have come from that guy, because I think Marlon Wayans was really giving us something like larger than life, but that felt believable for a guy like this. Tell me a little bit about, what was it about the script that seemed abysmal to you?
Yeah, I just want to say first and foremost, Justin Tipping is capable of making a good movie. 2016's Kicks, I really enjoyed. Featuring a younger Mahershala Ali as well, and Kofi Cerbo. I was a big fan of it, and I hadn't seen anything from him since. But then I heard, okay, he has a movie coming out, a horror film about maybe the compromises that you have to make as a black athlete going into the league, and how you're basically objectified. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, kind of looked at as cattle. And the trailer is a little weird because it's I gotta say this. It's like a cultural thing. Demonic imagery and black folks don't go hand in hand. I just gotta let you know. It's not a thing that is culturally good that we want to see in our movies, that we want to see associated with characters we love, like people we love, actors we love, like Marlon Wayans. So the general consensus was like, this doesn't look good because there's all this demonic imagery. And then we find out that this is like D-level demonic imagery. It's like very entry-level demonic imagery. You know what I mean? Like it was like, which is what I kind of figured this movie
kind of cliched, you mean? Like,
yeah, kind of cliched. Like nothing heavy duty that would make you, oh, I can't finish this movie sort of absurdity is something I really wanted to get at. Like, for anybody that is afraid that this movie's too demonic, don't worry about it. It's not at all.
Well, also, the demonic element is presented not only as the villainous element, but I will say this, back to kind of the racial component you're talking about, the demonic element is definitely presented as a very white element in this film, too.
Yeah.
So I think that in that case, it's I don't know, I'm saying I can see what you're talking about that juxtaposition being something that's like culturally has been damaging, so we don't want to see any more of it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that the way that it's similar to I felt people felt that way about Sinners. There was a little bit of talk about whether the movie was too demonic or too evil, and I saw people kind of reassuring people. I think what we are talking about too is with any kind of extreme imagery, there's some people who just really don't want to see that kind of thing combined with whatever other thing,
Yeah,
religion, or
yeah,
combined with, as you're saying, like
100%.
cultural representation. So yeah, I think it's interesting that that's like a thing I've noticed in the discourse that I never really noticed before. Is people saying to people online, no, 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 trust me, you can go see this one. I don't think people will be saying that about this movie, but I bet there's some people that are going to be wowed by the style and the kind of flashiness of this movie. But when you talk about that demonic element, Ronald, that's also from a plot standpoint one of the least developed parts of the story that
Oh, I
really
saw it in the
feels rushed when it's introduced and when it becomes the
100%.
element, when it becomes the
Yeah,
main part, when actually it was the relationship between these two men that I thought was the heart of the film. And the movie kind
yeah,
of says, no, 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 that wasn't it. We're actually worried about a cult.
yeah. There's a kind of feeling that I had while I was watching this, where I was like, I wish this were a Jordan Peele movie because it would have a steadier hand. It would have a little more focus.
Yes.
It didn't. I felt like I was watching a music video. In the middle, there were like these dreamy elements.
Or a Nike ad
Yeah,
or
or a
some kind of
Nike.
Under Armour
Yeah,
ad. Yeah.
yeah. It's just these dreamy elements that didn't
Yeah.
feel like completed or what I kind of concluded as I left, and I was kind of unpacking this with John, is I think there was a longer version of this script or something, and I think it was made and cut down to something because there are clearly elements that are missing from this. Like I feel like I'm watching it. They introduce somebody or an element, and you're like, should I know this person more? There's no explanation in the worst way possible. You know, like so. I'll give you an example. Weapons doesn't do a lot of explaining, and that's in a way that's used as a device to reel you in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, like, I wonder what this represents, and then it pays off in the end. There's a lot of elements that aren't explained that I guess are supposed to reel you in that don't have the payoff in the end. So what you wind up doing is, and I hate evil white people in movies. I was like, why are they killing these people? It's like, at the end, I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, it didn't pay off. The ending of this movie did not pay off. I felt like I
No, I
the
know what you're
ending.
saying though. It's like it wasn't a satisfying like it felt like these characters were introduced to be stooges, or you had like
Yeah,
characters like Tim Heidecker's character, who earlier in the movie was kind of like a comic extreme character, but he wasn't like it's like he ends up becoming this weird focal point of like all the evil in the thing, and it just didn't seem like it was that movie. I mean, honestly, I still keep coming back to the slightly more grounded thriller that I think this could have been, and I think it could have gotten kind of crazy. I liked when it was starting to get a little creepy
me
around the
too.
edges, but I didn't need it to become full on surreal the way that it does. Because you're right, he essentially becomes like a mass murderer at the end, and it's like we get it. These are terrible people, and what they say to him is terrible. But it's only because of what they say to him. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
Yeah,
these characters need to die because of what they just said in the last 30 seconds, not
yeah,
because of some feeling we've been building. Where I think they could have done that. They could have made us gradually feeling like these people are really manipulating him. The main character who seemed to be manipulating him was the doctor, and he's not really manipulating him in a particularly nefarious way. He's kind of
yeah.
just a compromised guy, but we don't know. That character was in the middle of some things, but I don't know. I think you're dead on. That was a great observation. That it's like it wasn't the problem. Isn't really what they were doing. It was that you used the word unearned last night, and I think
Yeah,
that
it was super unearned.
that's the right word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my initial thoughts. So, what
Yeah,
would you guys think?
yeah. Steve, what did you think?
I mean, I'm totally in line with both of you. I mean, I just think it overall the movie doesn't work. I mean, I do think Marlon Wayans' performance is actually really good.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I honestly don't even think anybody is particularly bad in the movie.
Mm-mm.
Like even Tyreek Withers, the main character as Cam, I just feel like the movie it felt very scattershot and all over the place and a lot of style points, but no real clear like plotting to like this idea of the sacrifice for sports and the true cost of chasing this dream that this kid's had his whole life. But I think as you get deeper and deeper, and in the way, even in the way the movie kind of like is breaking apart the days into kind of like chapters or whatever, um, in the facets of chasing greatness, or what the feeling of being great or him or the goat, includes, like the fun, the leadership, the resilience, the things that you see him going through at this compound that Isaiah White, that's character played by Marlon Wayans, exists on, basically, because, when the movie starts exposing what's actually going on, it does feel like really random, and you start picking up on the dialogue, and like, he's like, oh, well, she's saying something that is very literal and not a joke.
Right.
And, and he questions it, and she just says the same thing over, and there's nothing else that happens. Like, it just, then you go right into the scene, into a specific scene in the film, not to spoil anything, where it just kind of goes a bit off the rails. And even that scene ends and picks up, like, not that it didn't happen, but the next thing we see doesn't seem like there's any kind of a conversation or awareness, or like, what the hell just happened?
Okay, so you pinpoint, I think, the same moment I was saying. The
Yes.
sauna, I'll just say
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
After that scene, the way that Marlon Wayans' character reacts is the moment where I was like, oh,
Yes.
I don't know what this movie's doing.
Yeah.
And then very
Yeah.
quickly I was like, I don't know if this movie knows what it's doing anymore. Like, but everything up to that felt like it was thematically connected to this idea of a guy is looking for who's going to replace him, and he's trying to control the situation by bringing the person in as a protege.
Right.
And now he's realizing that he feels more threatened than he thought he would by this guy. Like, that to me felt like something. I was like, man, this is kind of interesting. And then after that scene, it just got so surreal and so weird that I mean, I'm not saying like it lost me, but more like I was just, like I said, I lost confidence in
Yeah.
like the trajectory of the thing. So
And I mean, one last thing real quick, Ronald. Like, and even just to say, like, the things that it felt like it was trying to drive home, like, it just kept driving home over and over again.
mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't expand that idea of, like, the sacrifice and the commitment to greatness, and, like, what are you willing to do? It just kept driving that home every day that you follow this kid at this compound, where it's not really expanding on that idea of, like, not just the sacrifice, but what does it mean after you make the sacrifice, or, the impacts on this kid's family. Like, he keeps talking about, you got to be willing to, disappoint your girlfriend, or like, or whatever he says. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But, like, you can only worry about yourself. And, like, there's no impact that you see of what anything he's trying to adopt in these few days are doing to his life, outside of his sanity, possibly, or his
you're right.
physiology, possibly. But, like, there's nothing shown in this movie, beyond dialogue, that is, like, exemplifying what Marlon Wayne is saying over and over again. To make it feel grander than just words.
You almost needed him to be like, come by yourself, but he's such a girlfriend guy. He comes with his girlfriend.
Exactly.
That could
Or
have,
someone comes to try to visit him.
yeah,
Or something.
yeah.
Where you see, like, a sacrifice happening beyond just him being at this compound. And
No,
he
you're right.
basically gives up his phone, and that's it.
I mean, the only thing I could say about that normally I would view as a possible plus would be if his isolation from things makes his actual life further and further away from him. But we don't spend, because of the fact that it's a short, kind of fast-moving movie, we don't spend enough time even for that to feel like something. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're right. We just get these sketched-in scenes where we can tell he's thinking about his girlfriend, and then when he tries to, like, he can't call home or whatever. But you're right. I think that's a huge thing that is like a miss, that we don't really see we don't see it play out. We see the danger of Marlon Wayans' advice to him, but we never see it play out in his actual life. We only see it play out in terms of, like, his mindset. And,
Or you're supposed to
and he's
catch-
there for a few days. It's also like it's all happening over a week instead of, like, months or whatever it might be to see a guy get worn down like that.
Yeah, or like, you just see a point where, like, he's there for a day 2, I think it is, and he calls home, and seemingly in the context of that, or what's happened in the weeks prior, a guy who's like, family first, I can't wait to have kids, like, everything's my family, and he seemingly has forgotten his mother's birthday,
Yeah.
Like that's the impact. You're supposed to be like, oh wow, what's happened to this guy?
Yeah.
Like no, that doesn't seem right. Like not doesn't seem right. Like something's wrong, but that doesn't seem consistent with who you know this character to be. And this is day two. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't happen. Like I just don't buy that anything would happen, that quickly, that it would change somebody. Like, and then it's something silly like, oh yeah, it's mom's birthday. Like, oh, how'd you
Yeah.
forget that? Like that just seems so odd to me.
Here's the thing that I was thinking that could have been a really good plot point. Like, what if, when he took his phone and stuff like that,
Yeah.
more time passed than he let on, and he missed the draft. And he because
Oh
he's
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
replace him, he literally takes him out of contention. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Wow, you took me out of contention. You gotta go. You've ruined my life. Like now,
Right.
you know what I mean? But that
I know
wasn't
what you're
even
saying. Yeah.
Like
that,
especially because they're like drugging him and shit, and he wouldn't know how
yeah,
much time
yeah,
had passed, and he's been in this
yeah,
weird, like, hyperbaric chambers and stuff. No, honestly, Ronald,
yeah.
that like it's funny. This is something that if anybody's listening to this show for the first time, you should know we don't normally have this many ideas about what a movie should have done. This is a rare thing for us to
It's a rare
actually
thing.
do this conversation, because I don't normally do. I try not to do that. I try not to make a movie into the like or judge it against the movie I saw in my head. But this is a movie that the pieces. I mean, the theater was packed. We don't go to that many screenings these days that are that packed, where it's like tough to get
Yeah.
a seat. There was obviously a lot of hype going into this. I really wonder what audiences are going to think of this movie, because there were some like jump scare moments and some kind of fun moments to see maybe with
Yeah.
a room full of people. I wonder if people are going to come out saying that was crazy but fun, or if a lot of people are going to have the same kind of feeling we have of like that was sort of half baked and scattershot.
I think that we saw the audience's reaction. I think it was really muted. Like there was not a lot of
That one guy
you
said it was more like and not him.
yeah,
Yeah, your buddy.
Migs. Shout out to Migs.
I
Shout out
tell
to
Mix,
Migs.
I feel like that's going to be in like at least 10 different reviews.
He should have
Yeah.
tried to. Yeah, he should have tried
Yeah.
to like trademark or copyright that.
Yes.
I will say the woman next to me was having a real experience with the movie. She was
It
saying
was
like,
killing me. I wish you would have. Yeah.
she was saying
really-
like, there's someone behind him. Do you see that? There's someone in there. There's someone in that room. She just was reacting to everything.
this works for some people. But what I thought was this felt incredibly pedestrian. This doesn't feel like somebody that's gone through this thing. It feels like a script that he's adapting from a script that was written already in an experience that he never had. And I'm not even talking about the racial stuff. I'm talking about like an athlete that's obsessed, or someone that's obsessed with the art of something. Or it felt very pedestrian. It didn't feel like a person that had really felt that before. Maybe because I have felt that sort of level of obsession about something. Like
I wondered what kind of research was done with actual athletes, honestly, watching
Yeah,
it. I was
yeah.
like, is this just something someone pulled out of their ass, or is this based on how anybody is?
The one scene that was the harshest one was the one that was like the scene.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was
Everything
a
else-
good scene. And Marlon
It
Wayans
was
is amazing in that
incredible.
section of the
Great
movie.
scene, great scene. And I specifically, we talked about this last night. Aaron, my wife, came to the screening with us last night, and like that scene was a scene I kept talking to her about on the drive. Like that felt like the only true like realized sequence in the
Yes.
whole movie.
Whole
Where
movie,
like we
man.
stayed with them for a long time. There was nothing like crazy happening, but I mean enough going on that like you're learning a lot about this character.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But it wasn't. It's a small piece of the film, unfortunately, of a short
Yeah.
film.
And that was a really good scene for the lead too. Like his development in that scene to like what the fuck, and then to like
Yes.
mad, and then to like getting into it. Like and the way
love
Marlon
it,
Wayans
man.
guides him through that, and the way he like taunts him and teases him, and then kind of praises him, and like I don't know. That's what I mean when I say at some points I felt like I was watching a much better movie. Like that stretch was really like, man, this is
So
intense.
good.
And it's
Yeah.
like acting and the physicality and the way it was edited and the way it was shot and the sound design.
Yeah.
And the
Definitely.
along the edges there is there's an increasing level of violence, and it's not clear that these guys aren't being maimed or killed
Yeah.
or something, and you just aren't sure. So yeah, I do think that maybe that'll play enough that audiences can enjoy that, because I don't
think
know.
so.
Like,
And it was the only true twist.
yeah.
Like it was like everything. You're right. Like that could have been a short.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been a short. That could have been. I really feel like it was sold on that scene, and
But you know
that
what,
makes
Ronald?
me
The sad thing
uncomfortable.
about that is, if that was a short, you know what people would be saying? You got to turn that into a feature.
Yeah. Dang
And
dog.
it would sound like a good idea. It would be like, yeah, we should turn this into a feature.
I really do like when things escalate like that. Like it's like everything was normal. There were regular. It was just them, and then more people appeared in the scene. Like, oh, who are these fucking
Yeah.
huge athletes? Like, what are they doing here? Like, where'd they come from? And they were in all black, and they have like the teeth and like the grills with the. It starts to feel like, wow, this is starting to get real crazy. And then that was the last scene.
Yeah.
Golly.
I mean, a lot of movies have at least one scene that's great, and that might be a reason why they're remembered. So, who knows?
Yeah.
But I will be curious to see what audiences make of this movie, because I can see, like, the critical tide is definitely against it.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed. I mean, like, I thought the trailer made it look like it could be really, really interesting,
Yeah.
and because I do think there's something there about, like, sports and what someone, not that, it makes a monster out of everybody or whatever, but like just when someone's like making a choice to trade their body and their physical well-being for a career. I think there is something interesting about that. And of course, most jobs you could say that about, like, I will one day succumb to carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
But like, everybody makes a choice about what ailments they're going to have. But like, athletes at that level, it's a famously, like, short-lived career in terms of when are you at your peak and when can you be expected to lead. And I've always found that really poignant and in some ways kind of nefarious, that people want to do something so badly that they will, like, destroy their bodies to do it. So
Yeah.
but the movie didn't really dig into that too much.
A friend of mine said that I should read the original script, and that would
I
give
wonder.
me some more context for what this was supposed to be. I'm very curious about that. Yeah.
Well, that was him.
Yeah.
Well,
What else you guys watch?
Well, did anybody watch Gen V?
No.
Oh. Well, I can say more than that it exists this week.
Yeah. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, I can say that I saw 3 episodes of it.
Wow.
And Gen V is back.
It's back, baby.
As a matter of fact, it's back.
The stories are true. It's back, baby. No, I guess I might wait until you guys have seen a little bit of it to talk about it. But I would, I do have thoughts. I have thoughts about, like, like the feeling of getting back into this show. I think that it took me a minute to figure out who I'm interested in, sort of.
Right.
It's not like The Boys, where you've got 3 or 4 characters that you're just sort of innately, like, they're like marquee characters, This show took me a little bit of a while, maybe because it's been so far away from it, and also timeline-wise, you're playing a little bit of catch-up with where they want to put us. And if you know about the first season, you know that one of the leads, if not the lead, the likely hero of the show, maybe, that actor, I can't believe I don't have his name foremost in my mind, but he passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And I'm going to say it. I'm going to
Chance, wasn't it? Chance.
Yes.
Padermo.
At any rate,
Chance the actor.
yes, Chance Padermo, who played Andre on the show.
A little joke.
Chance the actor. No, I get it.
Yeah, but rest in peace, man. That was
But I mean,
horrible.
And that's something they have to deal with, because the story was definitely not setting him up to die off screen, but they have to figure out some way to get rid of him without it being callous. And so they've, so I think that by the time they released, I think the first 3 episodes came out this week. I can see sometimes you get to the end of a batch like that and you go, oh, I guess I see why they did that. I guess I see why they wanted to get us this far in, because at this point I do feel sort of warmed back up to the characters. I spent the first episode feeling like, is this writing as good as it was before, or are the characters popping for me? And then Starlight has a cameo. I guess maybe that's a spoiler, but it's not a big deal. And she's not great. It's a weird little scene, and it's maybe one of the less like smooth and interesting scenes. But I feel like then once you get a little bit deeper into the new storyline that gets started this season, there's something that happens that kind of kicks off the season that you can see how, oh, now I see where the characters are being thrown into this story.
Right.
And then again, you start to see who's pairing off with who and who's got scenes with who and what kind of stuff is going in that respect. And also, cool. I will say this, there's a storyline that is shockingly prescient as far as what's happening right now. Like it feels like they are parodizing what's happening. Something big that's going on in the world right now. It feels like it's being parodied directly in the first 3 episodes of this. And of course they couldn't have known, but it's just bizarre timing.
Yeah.
It's not super direct, but it feels like the way they would do it if they were doing it, like the way they would comment on what's happening right now. As far as like a particular person becoming like a symbol to people of some people on one side, it's a symbol of one thing, and to people on the other side, it's a symbol of another thing. So it's an interesting thing. So I'm back in it with Gen V. I really think that I don't think it's maybe as sharp or something as The Boys, but I think that ultimately has to do with the fact that on The Boys you've got those 3 or 4 core characters that are just. They're like the main characters of this saga. The flip side of that is Gen V gets to be off in its own little area, seemingly doing something kind of different and separate from that. Like this show doesn't really seem to live or die based on what Homelander does, whereas The Boys definitely feels like this is the story of is it Billy the Butcher or Bill the Butcher? I can't remember. One of them is the character
Billy
from
Butcher.
Gangs of New York. It's Billy Butcher and Bill the Butcher.
Billy Butcher.
Okay.
This is Billy.
Daniel Day-Lewis on The Boys as Bill the Butcher. But Billy Butcher and Homelander are these characters that you just know, okay, some version of this show is going to end when those characters finally face off.
Right.
And Gen V doesn't have that same sense to me of like who's the character that you're waiting to see. But I think that frees it up to be a little bit more interesting in some ways. So, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I love the show. I wanted to mention, I saw The Long Walk.
Oh, how is it?
Oh,
It's great. It's great.
That's what I've heard.
Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, just amazing together in this movie. Like such like so much heart and just vulnerability and just the two of them together. I think I think we talked about David a couple times on this podcast, like Alien, Romulus, and even Rylane, which I mean, it's just a incredible actor, incredible young actor who there's no question should and I hope and probably will have like a very great career because he's just incredible in this movie, especially him. I would say as the standout. But there's like a really big, like, I don't know, like, there's lots of people talking about it, like, the type of Stephen King story this is much more in line with like the Stand By Me, the Shawshank type thing. And even honestly, the Andy Red relationship is very similar between these two characters. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea of a world where even to your point, John, like what our world might look like, God knows how long with the way things are going, where there's just civilization is kind of falling apart and they have this annual walk where a boy from every state, goes on this walk and only one of them can survive. And if they do, they get riches and a wish fulfillment. The story is really interesting. But basically following these characters, specifically the two, and learning more about where they came from, their motivations for wanting to do this, to be chosen to do this, because like they write letters asking for it. Like that's the state of the world or of the country, that they're trying to do this to help their families or to help themselves or to give them any chance of anything. But it's really incredibly emotional. I didn't really feel like the ending landed as well as I expected it to. It still was a nice ending, but or it was handled nicely. But I was just expecting more for everything that came before it. There's a lot of really other great kind of like secondary performances from some of the other boys that are on the walk. I would say the one thing that kind of was maybe the negative for me was Mark Hamill. Did not like Mark Hamill in this movie. Like he plays the major. I can't remember the major's name, but I mean he has other importance in the movie beyond just kind of talking shit and forcing them along this walk. But
Yeah.
um, Judy Greer's in it in a short role as Cooper Hoffman's mother. She's great in it. I don't know, man. I really like this movie a lot, and it was written by the screenplay is J.T. Mulner, who did Strange Darling last year, and it
Okay.
was directed by Francis Lawrence, who did like some of the Hunger Game films. Did what else did he do? What's that one with I Am Legend?
Yeah.
What's that one? Oh, Constantine. He did like Constantine, Red Sparrow. I think a really good director that's kind of underrated.
No, I was
But
going to say, I always hear people that have worked with him speaking very highly of him.
yeah, they love him.
Yeah.
Like even in the press for this one, like they're just. I listened to JT on a screenwriting podcast I listened to, and he was talking so highly of him and him being a director himself. It's like it's cool to hear that kind of positivity. But I don't know, definitely a recommend for me. Like if the Stephen King nature of it, the storyline that it's a great storyline, or a great like one what do you call it, like a pitch, the elevator pitch for the story is really great. I've never read the short or the story that it's based on from Stephen King, so I can't say how much it deviates from that. But it's beloved. It's a lot of people love the story. One of his best. A lot of people call it. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of the better Stephen King adaptations in a long time, too.
I think it's one of those Richard
films.
Bachman books, too. It's one of the ones he wrote under his pseudonym.
Got it.
I think.
I'm not sure. Yeah, you could be right. You could also be wrong, and I'll never know.
That's the
But
what we call the John Walker paradox.
But honestly, man, the takeaway really, I mean, Cooper Hoffman is great in the movie, and like he's been really good in other things I've seen him in. But man,
Yes.
like buying stock on David Johnson is where I'm at right now.
No,
Like,
I think we've been
bullish as fuck
we've been
on this guy.
circling
Like,
him as one of our guys for a
he
while.
is so good in this movie. I can't wait for you guys to check this out, like whenever you can, knowing how much we all love him. Walking out of the theater, there's just some sequences that he's in where you're just like, man, this guy is on another level.
Now,
He really is.
after seeing this movie, was the walk out of the theater? Did it seem like a really short walk?
Yeah, I think in the movie, like they by the time you get towards the end of it, it's like 360 or 70 miles.
Oh
Wow.
my
And I'm
god!
like, Jesus, like that, like what? Like, oh my God, that is insane, man. But yeah, definitely a recommend again. And if again, I just want to like, Cooper's great, but David just like blew me away. And if you don't know who he is, again, I mentioned this being the third, but Alien Romulus, The Long Walk, and Rye Lane is simply one of the best rom-coms we've seen in a long ass time. And he's a
Yeah.
part of all those movies, which I've loved all three of those movies. So he's doing great. And he was also in isn't he in Industry?
Yes,
Yeah, and he's in Industry too. Jeez, I mean, he's killing it. Like,
he's incredible in
no,
industry.
he is. He is. You're right. I know. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Like, I completely
man.
forgot he was in that until just now. Like talking about what he's been
Yeah.
in.
You were today years old when you remembered.
I was today years old. But yeah, definitely check out The Long Walk, man. It was really good. I don't know. Doesn't feel like many people I know saw it, but
No, I was going to get to the theater in the last week, and if I had gotten to, that was the
Yeah.
movie I was going to see. I was toying between that and Conjuring, and I decided that would be my safe bet and not Conjuring. But
Right.
but I'm sad to hear that Mark Hamill was turning it on too much.
There-
Was he
there's
just
just-
laying it on kind of thick or
yes,
something?
yes, just like the act, like the dialect, like the way he's talking, the gravel in his voice.
Yeah.
Even just like his physical presence, like he's not a intimidating figure physically.
Right.
So it's like everything else is dialed up to 100 and 200 or whatever. Dialed up. It's just, I don't know.
100
Yeah.
and 200.
Well, I mean, like on a scale of 100%,
No, I
like
gotcha.
it's dialed up to 200%. Like I lost my numbers there. But I mean, it's just like, it's just too much. And I mean, nothing There's only like really one scene where he's kind of like egging him on that is kind of like fuck this guy, but like I never really felt like they talk more about how bad he is and how much of a monster he is, and as you learn through some of their backstories, like ways that he may have intersected their lives in the past and other boys on the walk, but it's like nothing his physical presence or performance does matches up to the story they tell, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
No, I could see him when you say him not being a particularly intimidating specimen physically. I can totally see that, right? Like he's got kind of a, I mean, he's a lovable fellow, but he's like he doesn't play like heavies in that way,
right?
Like,
I mean, but it's also like he's sitting on top of a tank driving alongside of them, and it's like and he's like physically above them, looking down on them. There's other ways that he's intimidating them physically, but it's not just like his physical stature that I mean. It's more so that like he's an older man in life, in the movie, in this world. He's been around for a long time, but like he is who drives this walk through annually, and like this is it's like their pride and joy, and it's disgusting. It's just it's so inhumane and soulless, and it's just like and in their mind it's like the most patriotic thing you can do, and it's just like I don't know.
No, I definitely want to see
disgusting is a good word. But yeah, I really like the movie a lot. Definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, that's all I saw. That and Paprika
and him.
Paprika and him. Yes, that's right. I meant on my own. Ronald, anything else you saw?
No, man, they're pretty dry this week.
Okay, that's fine. So next week we have your pick. It's the newest episode of The Case Against Adnan Syed on HBO Max. That came out on the 18th, which is the day we're recording this. It'll be yesterday if you listen to our podcast the day it drops, which, by the way, is on Schmovie.com. If you go there, you can find all of the episodes. You can find links to subscribe to the episode or to the podcast episodes in the platform of your choice. You can also go to youtube.com/Movie podcast. I feel like a broken record every week when I say this, but you can go there and listen to it however you like it. It's a audio only video. You could watch the video and mute it if you only want video. You could do that if you want.
I think you should watch the video and mute it, and then play the audio podcast on another device across
on
the
your
room.
Phone, or and like try to see how well you sync it up.
See how different it is. Yeah,
that's cool. I like that idea.
That's
but yeah, there's lots of options:
ever.
Full episodes, shorts, audio only. You can subscribe to it, get the notifications when new episodes come out. Just make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell so that you are aware, even though it's usually every Friday. I think that's it, guys. I think that's an episode.
Yeah.
You feel the same, Ronald?
Yeah, man. I feel like I shit on him too bad.
You didn't. You didn't.
No.
I'll hold you up.
No, I think what you're experiencing, Ronald, is the same thing I was just feeling, which is that it's rare that we ever are that. I mean, it's rare for us to talk about a movie that we mutually
collectively didn't enjoy
it like that. Yeah. So
totally
I think that's what it feels like shooting fish in a barrel about it, is that like we don't normally
right,
because
we really try to find the best in this stuff.
Yes,
like,
we do.
Or like what can we enjoy? What can we kind of celebrate about something, even if it didn't entirely work? And I think we pointed out a few things that we did enjoy about him, but as expectations meet the experience that we had last night, it just we expected more, or I know I at least did. And I was definitely disappointed, but
we're those podcasters that like to like things.
Definitely would rather like something, yes, because you feel bad just talking negatively about something that's a lot of people worked really hard on.
That is it right there.
Yes. But that's the point of discussion, and it's okay to talk like that. I mean, again, we can acknowledge the effort and it's a miracle to make a movie, let alone something on that scale. So anytime we talk negatively, it doesn't feel great, but it's just how you felt. You experience it, and we can openly talk about how we feel.
Yeah.
At least about movies for now, it seems. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Everything else, not so much.
Not so much. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you made our day. Thanks.
Bye.